Overt Radio Breakfast Show. In case you just joined us, this is the political update here on Overt Radio. We are broadcasting to you live from the city of Lagos. Lagos is a center of excellence, the city that never sleeps. This is the political update this morning, so you can go to our various social media platforms to watch all our past programs here on Overt Radio, on Instagram, Overt News, on X, Overt Radio Live, on YouTube, Overt Radio Live, on TikTok, Overt Radio Lagos, overt.radio.lagos. That is where you'll be able to watch all our past programs here in the studio. So you can share the streaming link to your WhatsApp status, to your friends, to your contacts. You can send that link zeno.fm/radio/overt radio. That is where you'll be able to hear us loud and clear here on Overt Radio. All right, this morning I will just be talking about the at last INEC has given the access code to NDC and ADC for them to upload their candidates ahead of the 2027 general election. So from at least all the brouhaha, I think, would have ended. So let us see. Let's keep our fingers crossed to see if there will be any other crisis, within the opposition party here in the country as the 2027 general election gradually, draws near. So, according to the Vanguard newspaper this morning, the African Democratic Congress ADC and the Nigerian Democratic Congress NDC, what is similarity? The only thing that is different is the Africa and the Nigeria, have confirmed the submission of their presidential tickets to the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC ahead of the 2027 general election. The ADC Publicity Secretary Bolaji Abdullahi announced on Wednesday that the party had successfully uploaded the names and particulars of its presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar and vice presidential candidate Rotimi Amechi. In a post on his X handle, Abdullahi described the submission as another milestone in the party's preparations for the 2027 elections. He said, and I quote, "We are pleased to announce that we have successfully uploaded the names and particulars of the African Democratic Congress ADC presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar and our vice presidential candidate Rotimi Amechi to the nomination portal of INEC." He said this marks another important step in our preparations for the 2027 general election and our commitment to offer Nigerians a credible alternative built on competence, unity, and national renewal. So also the NDC too had their own candidates, uploaded to the INEC portal. 9 political parties collect access code for candidates' particulars. This is also from the Vanguard newspaper. So briefly, what I'm going to just say briefly is now, apart from the presidential candidate and their vice presidential candidate, the party will also be uploading their governorship candidate and other governorship, state house of assembly, and senatorial candidates. Senegal, the National Assembly candidates that emerged as their party representative, for the election in the National Assembly. Now that things have rested for a while, at least for a while, I now want to urge these parties, because the thing is that I hate to hear, it is all, I don't know what the word to use. It is undemocratic after an election. A political party will start complaining that that they were rigging, ballot snatching, vote buying, and during the campaign of that election, ahead of that election, he did not campaign as much as the party that won campaign. So in essence, what I'm trying to say this morning is that if you actually want to win an election, candidates must be very, very important. The candidate that you have chosen, you have elected, or you have selected to represent your party must be important. It is the candidate that wins. It is the candidate that you choose. That candidate will not inspire the people. It is the people that will not say, oh, this party's candidate, I might vote for him or her. So political parties don't just pick candidate because you want to participate in an election. Pick a candidate that you know that will deliver the result for you. Pick a candidate that has the competence. Pick a candidate that is qualified. Pick a candidate that knows it all and can deliver. Reason why APC, they are still in power since 2015, is because the candidate that they have picked resonates with the minds of Nigerians. I am not saying that Peter Obi is not qualified to be a presidential candidate for on the platform of the NDC. I am not saying that Atiku Abubakar is not qualified to represent the ADC, or I'm not even saying that the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, His Excellency, is not qualified, to represent the APC. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying they're not qualified. I won't say they are qualified. But the candidate that you have chosen, let that candidate, when that candidate will stand with the candidate of the ruling party, that candidate will give him a run for his money. Your candidate must be best. It must be the best. That is that for the candidacy. Now for the party. What to an extent will arouse a people's interest to vote for your party is your campaign. It is high time political parties start doing issue-based campaign. Anywhere you are campaigning, in the north, in the south, in the east, in the west, anywhere you are campaigning, see, it is an advantage for a presidential candidate. When you are campaigning in the north, you must identify the things that the northerners need the most, because the needs of the northerners cannot be the same needs that those in the south need. The need for the west will be different from the needs of the people in the east. So don't generalize that. Okay, yes, of course there are three major things that that should be basically available for the population: electricity, healthcare, education, infrastructure. Electricity, healthcare, education, infrastructure, welfare. Now, we are not saying that these 5 things should be delivered during your tenure. At least, let there be an improvement in the life of the people when you are in office. The other day, I did the analysis, I think, during while I was reviewing some of the headlines on the front page of the newspaper, when the newly appointed Minister of Power did say that by year 2031 or 2060 or so, I can't remember the exact time frame he gave, that Nigeria will achieve I think how many gigawatts did he say? Maybe 250 gigawatts or maybe 20 gigawatts. I can't even remember. You are aiming high, whereas the ones that you are managing, you've not met the demand. Nigeria is still struggling, of 3,500 megawatts, 7,000, 5,000 megawatts of electricity. We have not achieved that, but you are aiming a gigawatts of electricity. So I want to urge our presidential candidate, because all eyes are on the presidency, despite the fact that people don't know that, despite the fact that the most important leaders that we should be thinking about are leaders in the grassroots, the governors. Despite the fact that yes, we practice a system of governance whereby it is the central that controls the subnationals, okay? Despite the fact that in the new law, the federal government, local government now have autonomy to control. They now have their own control. The state governors are no longer in control of the local government any longer. Okay, so yes, all eyes are on the presidency. So I want to urge political parties, now that particularly those in the opposition. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not supporting any political party. I've never been a member of any political party, and I don't hope to be, but I don't know. I've never been a member of any political party. I don't support any presidential candidates. My job here, what I am doing here, is to lay the facts to you, then you will decide on what to do. That is my job here. I will not tell you vote for this particular candidate. I will not tell you don't vote for this particular candidate. But my job here is to tell you what this particular candidate is offering, what candidate A is offering, what candidate B is offering, what candidate C is offering, what party A is offering, party B, what are they offering, party C, what are they offering. Now, it is now left for you to choose. Now, ahead of the presidential election, which is less than a year from now, I want to urge our presidential candidates. Your campaign should not be a campaign of hatred. But yet, there are people who love to hear things like this from presidential candidates, but that will not lead us anywhere. I remember vividly when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was campaigning during one of his tours in the state. He made some comments that I didn't really like, and I was like, is this thing coming from somebody who will become a leader in the country? So don't base your campaign on hatred don't base your campaign on hatred towards the other party. Let your even if they are accusing you, insulting you, abusing you, don't care about that. Let your campaign be issue based. What are you going to do when you become president? How are you going to achieve that thing that you want to do when you become president? That is what Nigerians want to hear, because a larger chunk of Nigerian voters are youths, and youths are educated. So my advice to presidential candidates is that your campaign should be issue based. Gone are those days. We don't want to start hearing about party A is this, party B is that. No, that is not your business. Candidate A, since he has been contesting for the presidency, has not won any election. That is not your business. What Nigerians want to hear from you is issue. What are you going to address? There is poverty in the land. There is insecurity. When you become president, what are you going to do concerning insecurity? How are you going to reduce terrorism in the country? How are you going to reduce kidnapping, abduction in the country? That is what Nigerians want to hear. Not you insulting or abusing the other candidates in the other party. That is not campaign. That is not campaign. I am looking forward to a time or a period a time in our country where a presidential candidate will say that when I come into office, within the next few days, within the next month, within the next 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, 36 months, this and this and this are the things I will be able to do. And by the end of that time frame that he gave, those things were achieved. That is what I'm looking forward to. That is what a whole lot of Nigerians want to see, want to hear, want to know. Because as a presidential candidate, if the whole of your campaign is based on abusing the other candidate, when you get into office, you will not do much because your mind is wired. Because there's nothing upstairs, there's nothing up the stairs for you to do. So, our presidential candidates, it is high time for you to start campaigning about issues based. Let your campaign be issues based. Like I mentioned earlier, power. We need electricity in this country. Insecurity is on the rise. Our healthcare sector needs to be revamped. The education sector needs to be rejigged. There ought to be food security. Nigerians shouldn't be buying food at high price because we have land in this country. Nigerians shouldn't be queuing. Nigerians shouldn't be buying petrol at this exorbitant rate because we are blessed with petroleum. We are blessed with crude oil in this country. We shouldn't be suffering with other nations that are suffering when it comes to petroleum buying fuel when we are an oil producing country. So the things that we have advantage at, the things that is available, that is free for us, let us make good use of those things. Our crude oil, we shouldn't be buying fuel at this exorbitant rate. It is due to the failure of our past leaders. It is due to the failure of our past leaders. That is why Nigeria pay through their noses. The other day on Monday, I went to fill gas. When I started using gas as at that time, gas was 350 naira per kilogram. I started using gas when gas was 350 naira per kilogram, and that was about less than 10 years ago. And this is 2026. Gas is being sold directly at filling station, at gas station, not by the roadside, 1,750. But if you buy it from the roadside sellers, that is close to like 2,000 something, 2,300 or 2,200, when we have large deposit of gas in the country. The citizens are suffering, are paying through their noses buying gas due to the failure of our leaders. So to Nigerian voters, to the voters, those people who have voters card, this is an opportunity for you to choose wisely. If you are not comfortable with this administration, next year is an opportunity for you to vote for the right person you think it will deliver the job. And one funny thing is that when these people are campaigning, they will be campaigning, and at the end of the day, when they get into office, what they will do is totally different from what they are campaigning. But in sincerity, this administration must be commended for taking some bold step in some of its economic reforms. Nobody is saying that subsidy should not be removed. Nigerians are not against removal of subsidy. No. What Nigerians are against is, yes, you said subsidy has been removed, but what were the plans that you've put in place? But that at the end of the day, when you remove subsidy, we will not feel the impact. Nothing. It was after weeks when the subsidy was removed, that is when we start hearing about increment of worker salary. Worker salary ought to have been increased about 3 months before the removal of subsidy. The CNG, the compressed natural gas, stations ought to have been going on 3 months before the actual subsidies was removed. Provision of mass transit ought to have been provided before this forced subsidy ought to have been removed. But in the case of our leaders in this country, it is when they are removing subsidy, that is when they'll be bringing in things. You don't do things like that. Because before people will start feeling the effect of those things you are providing, it will take a long time. And humans are not patient. Then, in insecurity, it is high time we have a roadmap. The president, whoever will take over, whoever will be in charge next year, should be definite on what to do when it comes to insecurity. Now, I was opportune to watch an interview yesterday on Arise. An NDC chieftain, Buba Galadima, if I get his name correctly, who said that the establishment of state police will not curb insecurity, because he did said his argument, and I think I stand to be correct. I want to align with his line of thoughts. Buba Galadima, NDC chieftain, he says if the Nigerian police and military cannot solve security, state police won't. State police won't. The Nigerian police, the Nigerian army, they can't solve insecurity. And is it the state police that will solve insecurity? So I'm looking forward to how this state police of a thing. Yes, it's a welcome development, because that has been the clamor of those in the corridors of power. That has been the clamor, But the thing is that how? Because I am yet to see the framework. I am yet to see governors, what is their plan. The governors need to be asked questions. Yes, you have supported for the creation, for the establishment of state police. What are the plans? What are you going to do? These are the questions that the media ought to be asking the leaders. Yes, establishment of state police. How will you be able to fund state police? Like Ibuku and I did, discussed, we've been saying this over the months. Funding, how will the state governors be able to fund state police? Despite the fact that since the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, state governors have been receiving more allocations their monthly allocation has been increased on a monthly basis. Prior to what they be receiving during the administration of late Muhammadu Buhari. So the governors cannot tell Nigerians, cannot tell their people that they can't fund state police. They can't tell. They cannot say it. If a governor would wake up one morning to say that he cannot fund state police, then that governor has no business being a governor. If a governor says that he will not be able to fund, he can't fund state police, then that governor has no business being a governor. Has no business being a governor. So our presidential candidates, let your campaign be issue-based, not trivial. We don't want to hear that I will provide what do you call it? Provide road, build road, blocks of classroom. Those things are mundane things. This is 2026. This is 2027. Those things are mundane things that you shouldn't be saying publicly. What policies are you putting in place that within the next 10-15 years the things you say will still be active? Just recently, the federal government says that the workers' salary, the civil servant salary, will be reviewed upward. Now, how much are they going to add to the 70,000 naira that workers are currently, taking home every month? So these are the things. Even the members of the civil society, the Labour Congress, the Nigerian Labour Congress, these are the things that they should be engaging the government with. Not that when the federal government finally says that this is how much you can add to the worker salary, then Nigerian Labour Congress and the organized labor affiliation will be complaining. This is a time for the concerned party, the stakeholders, should be meeting on a regular basis. So again, I just want to I urge our presidential candidates, including the incumbent president, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, let your campaign be issue based. Stop castigating people in other political party. Stop abusing insulting. That is not necessary. During campaign, you tell your people your plans, you tell your people what you aim to achieve when you become a governor, when you become a president, when you become the senator, when you become a member of the House of Representatives. These are the things that people want to hear. Alright, so that is how far I can go this morning here on Overt Radio Political Update. 10 o'clock, the news update will be here. The news at 10 will be here, and Bukola Olewolafe will come up for the news update here on Overt Radio. So don't